It's been a week, and Florida Democrats are again on the road, this time in Miami, trying to gain a lead in voter registration ahead of what will be a consequential 2024. Capitol reporter Forrest Saunders has the latest.
Democrats remember all too well what happened in the 2022 midterm.
Thank you.
A near 20-point victory margin for Florida's GOP Governor Ron DeSantis and a Republican clean sweep of the state cabinet, not to mention supermajorities in the state House and Senate. But it's a new day, a new party chair, and a new effort to change things. For a second week, Florida Democrats are on the road with their Take Back Florida bus tour. The $1 million effort seeks to take the party to vital areas in the state like Central Florida and this week Southern Florida to regain an edge in voter registrations that Democrats lost in 2021.
I am excited to be listening to Floridians all over our state, from the Panhandle all the way south.
Party Chair Nikki Fried's spirits are buoyed by her decision to bring registration efforts back in-house after predecessors relied on third-party groups. She thinks the political climate and key issues like abortion will also rally people, especially younger voters.
We know that we not only are going to be able to energize our base talking about real issues, but also expand it by talking to our third-party registrants, as well as those conservative Republicans that believe that their party has left them.
Fried has been a controversial figure for Democrats. After one term as ag commissioner, she failed to get a gubernatorial nomination last year to challenge Governor Ron DeSantis, leading critics to question her judgment.
That girl is on fire.
State Senator Chevron Jones is not among Fried's critics. He's independently tried to rally minority voters in the past and knows the challenges. Jones thinks Fried is suited to this new effort.
She is bringing life back to the party. And some people see it differently. Some people think it's what they call performing politics and all that stuff. Let me tell you something. Yeah, there is no either or when it comes to organizing. There's no either or when it comes to how we're going to be able to move this state back forward. I think that this is a both and.
It will be an uphill battle. Since Republicans took the upper hand 2 years ago, their slim margin has grown to more than 500,000 voters.
The state of Florida has become the Republican state for the entire country. I mean, when you look at voter registration, we went from 250,000 more Democrats than Republicans to now we have over 543,000 more Republicans and Democrats.
And Florida's GOP chair doesn't think it'll stop there.
All indicators show that Florida is going in the right, pun intended, direction. With that said, we can't take it for granted.
Time will now tell if the bus tour bears fruit, but there's not much time left as 2024 edges ever closer. In Tallahassee, Forrest Saunders, WPTV News Channel 5.
Okay, before we begin, TV comment. His staffers lit him. She ought to have one of her staffers pull aside. You might want to close the curtain before you bloom me.
She would not have done well on Road Raider.
I'm saying it tongue-in-cheek, but I'm like, my goodness. Anyway, but on the substantive stuff, I was just a chuckle I had with Brian off camera. It's like, Stafford, please close the curtain so I'm not blooming with the sunlight. Nikki Fried, you heard. Many say, hey, she's trying to energize the party. It's a party that you've often said has been in the wilderness for a long time. They've got a bus tour going. She thinks they can make traction on issues. She and other Democrats talk about Democrats vis-a-vis Republicans, and I'm being serious now. Republicans now have an edge in statewide voter registration. For the longest time, they did not. Democrats trying to come back, trying to come out of the wilderness. Put it in perspective for us.
Well, I mean, the Democrats need to do something, and Nikki Fried is doing her best to move the party forward. The party has, for all practical purposes, fallen apart.
Mm-hmm. That's decades of inattention.
That's decades
of cultivating a bench.
And there's also been some changes in the demographics of the state that have contributed.
But that also says to me, when you say that, they've not been attuned to those changes.
They've not been attuned. Yeah. But there's also the groundwork, and we have a difference now where the Republican Party of Palm Beach County and other county parties are doing similar things, keep sending out an email that says there are 90 municipal races that are up in Palm Beach County, and they're encouraging Republicans to register. They're encouraging candidates for those 90 races, which is most of the cities in Palm Beach County that will be up for an election on March 19th next year. March 19th is also the same day as the presidential primary. Assuming that Joe Biden doesn't have a serious challenger, Republicans will be turning out in droves to vote in the Republican primary. It was brilliant for them to come up with that strategy. And
they do the ground level work.
Yeah, and that's the kind of forward thinking you have to do. They're already talking about reshaping some districts in the in Congress, reshaping some districts in the legislature, reshaping school districts and things,
and you
to
often
give more power to the Republicans. And if the Democrats were in charge, they'd be doing the exact same thing.
And you often say, purple state. This is no longer a purple state.
We haven't been purple for years.
It's been a red state for a while. But that's a lot of work. It didn't just happen.
Yeah,
so
and people used to laugh at me when I said we were a red state. Well, I guess I got the last laugh on that one.
You're laughing the loudest now.
Ever since Jeb Bush, the change started taking place when Jeb Bush won the governorship, and over that 30-plus years, the Republican Party has gradually been moving forward. The Democratic Party has consistently put up very weak candidates for governor.
But you've also said just on issues, where in your mind have they been tone deaf, whatever one may think about issues, where in your mind have been the chief areas where they've just been tone deaf to where Floridians were going?
It's complicated.
And I know there's a lot.
It's complicated. I think that they were a little tone deaf on some of the woke issues. I think they didn't understand that even people who were moderates, one of the good things that Ron DeSantis did that was brilliant as a strategy was when he first came up with you can't teach sex from kindergarten to third grade. The fact of the matter is, if you sat down even with the most liberal mother and just said to them, do you mind if we talk about sex with your first grader in school? The odds are, and I've had this conversation, the odds are they'll say no. I don't want that happening. It's too young.
And it wasn't happening anyway.
It wasn't happening anyway, but as a message, so you had Democrats who go, no, you can't do that. And they were failing to get that middle of the road and some moderate Democrats who were going, I don't want my kid talking about that early, even though they really weren't. On the other hand, when you try banning it in high school, they're like, well, what are you, crazy? Of course we should be talking about it in high school. But K through 3 is where DeSantis pulled it off.
Let me ask you, too, Florida's often seen as the litmus test for other states, but all summer, spring and summer, really on to last year, the issue that's going to be interesting, Brian, abortion, more restrictions in Florida and in state after state, not talking about Florida right now, Democrats are seeing traction that issue is having staying power, the abortion issue, restrictions on abortion, more restrictions, the overturn of Roe v. Wade. Is that going to be a real wild card in your mind on political fortunes in Florida next year or not?
I think potentially, but you look at Ohio, which just passed a constitutional amendment putting them in position to push back on any changes to the abortion laws in that state, but Ohio's not a hardcore red state like Florida has become. I have been still somewhat surprised at how quiet it's been on the liberal side of Florida about when they signed the 6-week abortion ban. Maybe, I think there's a certain element of liberals that feel very passionately about it, but it's just, I haven't felt the momentum yet that I expected to feel, frankly, right after the Dodd decision in Florida. And maybe it's coming, and maybe you don't need everybody. You need a significant chunk of people to be on your side to win an election, and maybe that's what will be there. But when Ron DeSantis, interestingly enough, he quietly signed the 6-week abortion ban legislation, late at night, and rarely talks about it on the campaign trail now unless he's asked about it, so we'll see. At
the end of this conversation, we've got just less than a minute before our final break, but we haven't talked about the emergence yet of any Democratic standard bearer or star in the party. Am I wrong there in Florida? You still, at the end of the day, need some star power in such a diverse state. Do you see anybody who would be on your short list, if you even have one at this point?
No, actually, I don't see anybody at this point. I think there's some people out there that are still trying to find their way and have the potential to move forward, and the folks in the state legislature. But, they don't hold a single statewide office. Some of the members of Congress are even older than I am.
They're older than 45?
I'm telling you. And it's that next generation of 40 and younger that needs to be working its way up. And it's a different breed of Democrat than the old school moderate Democrats of Florida.
The Bob Grahams, the Ruben Askews.
Yeah.
Yep. Brian, as always, I appreciate your analysis that is deeply entrenched in decades of experience covering politics in the state. We'll be back in just a second.